joined in studio now by Bills left guard David Edwards, joining the show here after practice is wrapped up. Player interview appearances on One Bills Live are presented by Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons, the official coffee of the Buffalo Bills. All right, David, we got to Week 18 here, and, knock on wood, all is good as far as how everybody feels, and I am knocking. I'm not messing with any other football gods here. Yep. I wanted to start here, though, because last year, as you know, Mitch Morse was called the resident dad in the offensive line room, and I understand you have now taken on that mantle. Are you being referred to literally as dad now by your teammates, or do they just kind of know, like, you're the dad of the O-line room?
That's a good question. I don't think anybody's called me the dad
of
the O-line room. That kind of makes me feel a little bit old. But
yeah, so that's good. They're not calling you that.
Yeah,
dad.
I think it's a good thing.
You're not old yet, so that's good.
Exactly.
But what is it? I mean, they call you like you're like the cerebral guy, the voice of reason. Like, what? How do you get this title? Like,
I don't know. I think just hanging around the guys, like you just kind of develop a little nickname or whatever. And no, we have a great group, and from the starting five to everybody else, right. It's just such a great group to be around, and got guys that care about each other and love each other. So. Whatever they, nickname they give me is fine with me.
And that's people don't understand too. They talk about, from Spencer and Cybo and Connor and you and Dion. There's also another group behind you that is with you all the time. I mean, there's the same. They just don't get to play as much on Sunday. Yep. Alec Anderson is obviously people see him in and out of the game, but there's like 3 or 4 guys, 5 guys behind that. It's a big room of guys. Give us how has that group differed this year than it was a year ago? Where are you kind of better, and are you feeling like you've really made a stride here this year? Because you obviously have.
Yeah, I think from top to bottom, the room has been so good at really being process oriented. I know that's thrown out a lot, but from the starting 5 to the backups to the P squad guys, like guys really care. They come into work every day with intent, trying to improve, and I think that always elevates everybody around you. So I thought last year's group was a great group too.
Yeah,
right.
And for us to be able to continue to try to improve is a credit to the guys that we have, as well as Coach Cromer and Coach Gund.
Interesting too, last year and this year, and like again, knock wood again, you guys have been extremely healthy. I mean, rarely do guys have to take a game off. And we were talking, like you said, you're talking between the break. Nobody's really 100% at this point, but you have been able to, keep it together,
right?
Particularly through this season, and stay at a high level. And this is a team, unlike a lot, you're 50-50 run pass a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Give us an idea. Is there something about that? I mean, what causes that to be a trend rather than just an aberration?
Yeah, I think it goes to learning how to play with each other. I think once you understand how guys want to hit blocks and communication within that, and then also we've got some great coaches with Coach Cromer, Coach Gund, and Millie to be able to put us in great positions in the run and the pass. And then guys understanding like how to play, I think is huge. So I credit a lot of the, knock on wood, right, us staying healthy to those things.
Yeah. We've all been stumping for Josh for league MVP here, and, for good reason. I mean, he's breaking records, historic records, not just single-season records every single week. I have a part 2 to this question, but the part 1 is it's evident in your room the level of admiration you have for his play and his leadership. But what do you think is not known about Josh, the player, that isn't readily evident by watching him play that would make him, worthy, besides his ridiculous skill set?
I think what you see on the field, the guys, specifically us up front, and even the whole offense, he has a relationship with each guy. He's got a handshake with each guy. That's real. That's genuine. That makes people want to play for you and play hard for you. And so, he's the first guy, when other guys have success to give you, your credit and talk about life outside of football. He just does such a great job of forming genuine, real relationships with each person on the offense, on the defense, and I think that's, such an admirable trait for him as the quarterback, the leader of our football team.
And you guys are obviously a big part of this because this thing doesn't go without you guys up front. But when you see his scoring prowess, I mean, I saw our PR department put this stat out last week or earlier this week, I can't remember with the holiday, where it said Josh has already set the record for most total touchdowns for quarterbacks in their first 8 seasons, and he's still in his 7th season.
Right.
I mean, he's like the Michael Jordan of the NFL when it comes to scoring.
Sure.
I mean, do you marvel at like just the scoring proficiency? And you guys have been a super productive offense all
Sure.
year, but I mean, he's obviously at the front line of that.
Yeah, I think that any time, like with Josh, his ability to beat you with all 3 parts of a quarterback, his feet, his arm, and his mind, we always have the chance to score and score a lot of points. And
Yeah.
he just does such a great job, whether it's in protection or passing or running, getting us in and out of right plays, making plays downfield, seeing stuff past, maybe the first few seconds of the snap. He's just such an incredible player.
Yeah.
And to your point, like the Michael Jordan of scoring, he just does everything for us.
That's really what it has been about for Josh. I mean, you can say even last year when he had all those numbers and he had 18 interceptions and all it. Bills fan, nobody ever complained about his interception because he scored so much.
Sure.
I mean, and that's been he
came out ahead.
He's a stinking
By a wide
he's
margin.
a touchdown factory, and he really has been since the beginning. And that's really the thing that has been the hallmark of this team. You guys have set a franchise record for scoring, and you got 40 points in 3 of the last 4 games. I mean, it has really been crescendoed here at the end of the season. Can you feel that when you're preparing, when you're getting to the end of the season, when you're coming into these games? Can you feel that momentum and that kind of output on the horizon, or is it just kind of let's take it one play at a time?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think that there's confidence in the past, the games that you've played, you've scored those points, but there's also the mentality of the past really doesn't affect the future.
Right.
So, we try to take a mentality of having a one play, one game at a time type mentality. But the thing that I think has been cool is we've been able to run the ball well in some games, throw the ball well in some games, and when we've had those great scoring output type games, we've been able to run and throw it really well. So, but again, it starts with us having that, that one play, one game mentality week to week.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've had James Cook in here, we've had Ray Davis in here, and they have both confirmed this for me because a little birdie told me that in the huddle during games, David Edwards provides a little bit of a cheat code to running backs on run plays called in the huddle, such as, hey guys, it's going to open up here in the B gap, so make sure you're looking for that because that's where it's going to open up. Now, the question I need to ask you is, are you calling these things like from the jump, or are you using in-game intel as the game wears on to say, this is where it's going to open up, guys, because they can't block it up or fill up the gap or whatever the case might be?
Sure.
What is your process to being a soothsayer as to where the run play's opening?
I definitely don't think of that, but we do such a great job on the sideline of communicating with the backs, the receivers, the quarterbacks, tight ends, of how we're seeing stuff, how they're seeing stuff. And by the end of the game or within, a drive or a game, we're able to have conversations like that.
Yeah.
Hey, this is what they're showing right now that maybe is different than what we saw on tape and what we prepared for. So, the credit's got to go to those backs and receivers and tight ends to be able to, put us and make us look good, when we block it a certain way. But it's more a conversation, play to play or drive to drive.
Okay.
Give us an idea about the vibe in the locker room about a game that's coming up this weekend that doesn't mean anything in the standings. Still got to play it, still want to win it, but you're really posturing for the playoffs.
Yeah, I think, and it starts with Coach McDermott and our coaches doing such a great job of putting an emphasis on our process and how we win. I feel like we're still going to go in there with a great mentality, no matter who's playing, and the competitors that we have on our team. I don't feel like there's the thought of this isn't a game that we're trying to win or meaningless. Like, we're going in there trying to win this game and compete and play to the level and standard that we know.
Last one from me. So we know the jumbo package has been part of this offense since you were the sixth man, so to speak, last year, and now Alec Anderson has inherited that as you've moved into the starting lineup. I don't know if I could pick two more different personalities. Not to say that you don't play with an edge, David, you do. But Alec's a little off kilter when he steps in between the lines. What can you tell me about what happens to him between being the jovial guy we see off the field and turning into an absolute maniac on the field? What the heck goes on there?
That's a good. I don't know. He we joke like Alec has such a great ability to turn it on and off. When he's on the field between the lines, he's almost a different guy in some ways. But off the field, such an incredible teammate and guy that you just love being around. But I don't know what gets into him on game day, but it's always fun to see.
I borrowed one of Steve's lines during the broadcast last week because I said, if Alec Anderson is not in the fight, he's on the way.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about that. It's a thing. You got your team has. We were talking to McDermott this morning about you've got to have guys who, they don't. Let's mix it up a little. I don't care.
Sure.
And because there's some guys on your team that can't afford to do all that. Like Josh can't go in and start swinging haymakers, and that you don't want James Cook doing that or Amari Cooper. But you got to have somebody who's in there going, give me some. Yeah. And that's because you got to be able to say that to the other team,
right?
That you're not going to let them do that. And so, like my question is, how many guys you really need like that? And you got to have them on both sides of the ball, right?
Absolutely.
And so like, give me a short list of guys who are like first guys in, last guys out.
Offensively,
yeah.
Starts with Alec.
Yeah.
Right.
His close second is going to be Dion.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
And then a close third is going to be Spencer.
Yeah. Mac Hollins doesn't seem too shy about chirping people.
Mac would be in there too. Mac would be in the mix for sure. Yeah.
What about on offensive? You'd have to. What about on the defensive side? Are there guys that are like, oh yeah.
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 I think TB would be in there. Terrell Bernard.
Oh,
okay. Taylor Rapp, I feel like would like to get
that kind of fits as well.
Yep.
And I'll say this too: the list doesn't need to be really long.
No.
And it's got to be a list that you have.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
It's fun to watch. It's fun to go out and compete. And like you say, in a game like this coming up this weekend, it doesn't have anything to do with the standings. The guys in the locker room don't have that off switch. Let's go.
Yeah,
we're going to line up. We're going to keep score. Okay, we're going to win.
Yeah, I don't think there's any, difference in when you put your helmet on and you're between the white lines. I think you're rolling. So.
Yeah.
The mentality isn't going to change, I don't think.
That's the one thing a lot of fans don't understand. Certainly a lot of guys in the media don't understand is the competitive nature of the guys who have to play. You have to play the game.
Yep.
And let somebody else worry about the standings.
Sure.
I'm going to win.
No half step.
Yeah, there's no half step.
No doubt.
Right. Yeah.
No doubt.
It is time now for this week's Timbits Timeout, presented by, of course, Tim Hortons, where we have the fans submit questions, unique or otherwise, for the people that visit us here in studio. So this week's question comes from Josh, who asks, how much does it hurt to have Josh fall on you every time they do a sneak play?
He's always falling on you.
You can puff your chest out a little bit. He runs over me every time. I mean, there's a reason for that. But does it hurt is the question.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
You got to have a mental clock in your head on when you have to kind of flatten your feet and your arms and stuff to
just turn into a seal.
Exactly.
Basically.
So nobody lands on you.
Right.
Yeah, that's key.
Yeah.
So it's just like surge and then maybe one Mississippi, two Mississippi drop.
Exactly.
Torpedo it.
Yep.
Yeah. That's I give it. It is what it looks like for fans out there who don't know, and it like, wow, they're just pushing. It is rough down inside there because you got. Guys are falling and they try to brace themselves, like put their knee down to brace themselves or their elbow or their arm, and sticking into somebody as they fall because they're, it's rough.
Yeah, my thought is just to uncoil basically all my power through my hips and my feet. While my feet, I really don't try to move my feet that much, and then try to get as much surge on whoever's inside or outside as I can. Yep.
Yeah. Super successful play. You can't knock it.
I'll tell you what.
You can't knock it.
That's a credit
when
to
it
Josh,
takes that
too.
long. Yes, when it takes that long to unstack those piles, it's rough.
Yeah,
well, that's the amazing thing that Josh is able, being such a big person, he's got to make himself small
Right.
in those kinds of situations while still being powerful. And I can't imagine that's too easy when you're 6'5" and almost 250 pounds. So kudos to you guys up front, and kudos to him for making that such a successful go-to
really
play
is.
for you
It's
guys when you're in short yardage
It's like
situations.
trying to fit a pig through a knothole. You know?
Yeah,
I mean, it's just, there's a little space in there.
Kansas farming
yeah.
terms
Okay.
over here.
Yeah, so there you go.
David, thanks for stopping in. We appreciate the conversation as always.
Appreciate you guys.
Please stay healthy the rest of the way here, and good luck this week and into the postseason.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks,
All right,
David.
that's David Edwards, Bills left guard, here joining us.